There you go. Well, hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Paris and Baz Cast, where we bring to you new guest speakers to talk about topics that impact property management, sales, and finance, the three services we provide here at Paris and Baz. And today we are joined by Mark Armstrong from RateMyAgent. Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, Anmol. How are you?
Good, good. So,
Mark. Hello, Gadev. How are you?
Good. Good, thank you. So the topic of discussion today is about mortgage broker reviews. So for those of you who don't know, RateMyAgent is the go-to comparison agent, real estate agent comparison website, where there's independently endorsed, independently verified reviews from vendors and buyers from transactions that provide their feedback about the agent and the relationship that they had working with them. But in addition to that, what has just been launched is it's not Rate My Broker, it is Mortgage Broker Reviews by RateMyAgent, where mortgage brokers such as Gadev have the opportunity to reach out to their clients and get their feedback as well. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's great. We've been looking to do it for a long time. We launched RateMyAgent for real estate agents about 7 years ago, and I guess what we've done is we've built up an enormous audience. We get at RateMyAgent now, we get over 500,000 unique visitors coming to the website each month. Wow. So for us, that was about opening the door. It was opening the door to that community to mortgage brokers who would benefit from it as well.
Absolutely. And mortgage brokers are those, they go hand in hand with real estate agents to be able to completing the deal. So I think it just makes sense to be able to have that. And then of course you've got the property management side of it covered as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We see those as being the three pillars. Property sales, property management, and mortgage broking. We can add accountants and other things down the track, but we see that they're the main three pillars at this stage.
Yeah, and I think it just gives the clients a great platform to share their journey with all the mortgage broking processes and what's been changing in the landscape as well over the last couple of years. So I think it's a great.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark, and your background. I think you've got a mortgage broking background yourself. Is that right?
Well, I've never been a mortgage broker, but I did run a mortgage broking business. So I guess you'd call me a property person. I've sort of had this, been involved as a buyer's advocate for many years. And then we ran a business called iProperty Plan, and one of my business partners, Damien Roylance, ran the mortgage broking side. And I think you said it then that, they sort of go hand in hand. Mortgage broking and property go hand in hand. And the way we saw it, we saw property as being it's the marketing angle of the business. Property is a very emotive asset. People fall in love with their house, when they walk through property and they love, it's a very emotive asset class. And advice around property acquisition, we sort of call that it's a nice to have service. But mortgage broking, there's not many people out there who pay cash for their properties. So when you buy a property, mortgage broking or raising finance is a must-have service. So that's the way we developed our business. People came to our business in many respects looking for property advice, and we were able to marry them up with both property advice and mortgage broking advice.
Yeah. And I see the mortgage broker, and they play a key role in the transaction, because a lot of the buyers and the vendors, they hold a lot of trust with their mortgage broker. So they go back to the mortgage broker, how much we can borrow, our borrowing capacity, valuation of the property. So mortgage brokers, they play a massive
Definitely.
part.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. And obviously, if you don't have the money, you can't buy the property. It's as simple as that. So.
Well, that's right. But, I mean, it's a terrible way to look at it, but people don't really want to borrow money. I mean, if you had the choice, you wouldn't borrow it. Let's be honest. But it's a necessity. And I know that Damien didn't like me saying those sorts of things, but it's a necessity. You need to borrow money to achieve those, to acquire property. As I said, for 99% of the population, you need to do that.
Absolutely.
Good to see it's cheap as well at the moment. So.
Yeah, that's it.
Cheap money. Exactly.
And in terms of actually introducing this platform, and remember there was an email that came out initially to agents to say, we're just about to launch this, getting your feedback. Was there initial thoughts that this may not be well received, or was there thoughts that, how exactly would we position this?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. We didn't really know how it was going to be received. I think the first thing we did is we understood that property is a public transaction. You know, when you buy shares, family and friends don't know you bought or sold shares. You know, that's a very private thing. Everyone knows when you buy or sell property. I mean, you go around to their house for a champagne and you know, whether they buy or they sell it, it is a very exciting time. So we knew that transacting property, there was a lot of emotion there, and there was a great opportunity to get reviews for agents. We weren't sure whether that emotion and that excitement carried on to mortgage brokers. And what we did as an early test, we sent some emails out to people who had already posted a review for a real estate agent, asking them to post a review for their mortgage broker. So about 90 days after they had transacted. And we were blown away that the quality of the reviews, that they were very similar. They were gushing, you know, that my mortgage broker is wonderful. They did such a wonderful job. We love our mortgage broker. And we actually realized that the affection and the emotion that people have for their real estate agent, you know, because it is a very stressful time. Transacting property is not for the faint-hearted. Again, it's not something we want to do. You don't wake up and say, I can't wait to sell my house. You sort of dread doing it. And there's a lot of relief when it's finished. Same thing happens on the mortgage broking side. When you finally settle that property, we were just talking before, Gadev, you were talking about how people are now getting documentation quicker and all those sorts of things. Let's be honest, it's a bit of a pain. You know, it's a whole process. And when you finally get the key to the house and you open the front door, there's a massive sense of relief, and there's a huge sense of appreciation for the mortgage broker that's helped you do that. So we weren't sure whether that was going to flow on, but it absolutely did. The affection that, or the relief and the appreciation that people have for their real estate agent actually flows on to their mortgage broker as well.
Absolutely. And what are some of the key stats at the moment in terms of reviews? I know that the back end of the platform is still being developed to the same level as the agency. What exactly have you seen, and how quickly are things changing behind the scenes?
Yeah, well, things are changing rapidly, but the first two stats that we look at is just the accumulation of reviews, first of all. We've already had over 5,000 reviews posted, and the reviews for mortgage brokers is growing exponentially. We've got 800, almost 900,000 reviews for real estate agents, and that's after 7 years. So we're growing rapidly in the mortgage broking space. The other stat that we look at this stage is conversion. So when someone when a real estate agent requests a review from their customer, around about 60% of the time that the customer writes that review. So that's what we call the review conversion. And to give you an idea, if you ask for a review on Google, the conversion's about 10%, because you need to have a Gmail account. So our conversion rate's very high. And now we're following very similar trends in the mortgage broking world. It's not quite up at 60% yet, but our conversion rate is really high. So when a mortgage broker asks their customer for a review, over 50% of them already respond and write a review. So that's the first sort of thing we're looking at as a company. And now a lot of mortgage brokers are asking us for the new products, you know, for our social media manager, which will be launched in the coming days, where you'll be able to syndicate mortgage broking reviews down through your social media channels. Link our connection with Google My Business and being able to post into Google My Business is being launched in the coming days as well. So we're already seeing consumers using our mortgage broking reviews. We're already seeing mortgage brokers fall in love with it. So yeah, we're under pressure. People want us to develop the mortgage broking business to the same level as real estate, which is a good problem to have. You know,
that's true.
A good problem to have.
And talking about clients, because obviously the main key reason that this is being developed is for the clients to have that transparency about what the experience of the client reviewing has been. What are some of the other benefits, or what can the general public get from that sort of visiting the website?
Yeah, I think if we look back what we did 7 years ago, that the key thing that RateMyAgent developed was linking a review to a transaction. Because then you really bring in that social awareness, that social proof. As I said before, everyone knows when you transact property. Everyone knows when you buy, and everyone knows when you sell. And everyone in the community can see a big sold board up on the house. So by taking a review and linking it to that transaction and giving that giving it that level of verification was really important to the consumer, because now the consumer can see, oh, wow, I get it. This was the buyer of that property, or this was the seller of that property. And hey, I might know that person because our kids go to school together, or they play footy at the same footy club. So linking the review to the transaction and giving that social proof was really important. So now for mortgage brokers, we're doing the same thing because it's the same transaction. So a consumer can now look at the experience of a friend or someone within their community and actually see that, hey, this was the real estate agent they used, and this is with the experience they had, and this is the mortgage broker they used, and this was the experience they had. So they don't need to call up the person and say, hey, what did you think of your mortgage broker, or what did you think of your real estate agent? They can sit in bed at night and get that social proof. So it's really powerful from a consumer point of view.
And talking about the authenticity of these reviews, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that no one's bulk, uploading these reviews? I think that will be one of the key questions that we would get asked. How is the validity of those reviews?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a couple of things that we do. I mean, first of all, linking them to the transaction. We've had a situation in the past where a customer emailed us and said, look, I'm just querying this review because that's my property that's sold. That's my furniture. That's, that's the date I sold my property, and that's how much I sold the property for, but I didn't write that review. So we used, to some extent, crowdsourcing and she came across the review because of a friend of hers shared the review on Facebook with a comment, I didn't think you would write a review like this given the experience you had. So social proof, again, really keeps the agent and the broker honest, because you don't want to, it's public. It's a public transaction. So if you write a dodgy review and the person who is the buyer or the seller or the person who bought that property sees that review, then there's real trouble. But we do some other things as well. We track IP addresses, we track email addresses. So we have an internal system that sends up a red flag if we suspect that an agent or a mortgage broker is systematically posting reviews from the same area, the same IP address, or the same email address. So we can monitor it in that way as well. So I can't sit here and say 100% of our reviews are genuine. I'm very comfortable to say 99% are, though.
Yeah.
And that's a very high percentage that we can put hand on heart and say that these are reviews from genuine customers.
Well, there you go. Look, at the end of the day, it is all about making the choice of the professional you're going with easier. And if the service is providing you that, and you've got social proof, more than one person is saying the same thing.
Builds trust and transparency in the transaction.
Yeah, I used the analogy the other day with someone, and I was saying that it's a little bit like, you walk down the street, I'm in High Street, Northcote here, and you walk past two restaurants. I can't do it at the moment, but in theory, when we can go to restaurants again in Victoria, and you see one restaurant that's full and one restaurant that's empty. You'll wait in line to go to that one that's full, even if you know nothing about that restaurant. And that's social proof working, So if you see a mortgage broker that is continually doing business in your area, that social proof will give you confidence to say, hey, I've never met that mortgage broker before. I've never eaten in that restaurant before. But looking at all the people that have and all the people that have used that mortgage broker, I feel more comfortable to go down that path as well. So that's where that social proof is so important.
Absolutely. And in terms of the digital marketing side of it, naturally, we've just spoken about the Facebook reviews and the connection with the social media. Is there anything else in the pipeline, like the awards, the annual awards, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year, but what else is happening that would sort of entice those, brokers to get more of those reviews?
Look, I think the first one that's already happening right now is the SEO benefit, the search engine optimization benefit. So again, by linking the review to the transaction, every review creates its own microsite, its own unique web page. And so it's like a little media article. You know, it's like a publication where every review, if you get 100 reviews, that's 100 media articles, all with their own web pages. So Google then comes along and when it looks at all of these web pages, it says, wow, this must be a really important person or a really important piece of information, because the digital footprint is so big. So when you type in, I mean, one of the early users of the mortgage broking platform was Damien Roylance. And if you type in Damien Roylance into Google, just his name, he already comes up, his Rate My Agent profile already comes up #1. So that's SEO working. So it's already working from that point of view.
Yeah.
But we have another product in the pipeline that we already have for agents, is something we call Promoter. Yeah. So that's where you'll be able to convert the review, the mortgage broker review, into a digital ad and promote it through Facebook or Google or Instagram's ad networks. So the idea is we have a social media manager which allows you to share your reviews to your known networks. But when you advertise to, I'm putting my hand in my face, when you advertise to people outside of those networks through advertising channels, what you're fishing. You're trying to get some of those people that you don't know into your known social network. So the Promoter product, which is not far away from being released, I hope that's right. I might get a message from my product team saying that that's not true, but it won't be too far away. So accessing, you know, Instagram and Facebook and Google's ad networks are really important and really cost-effective ways to market yourself.
Absolutely. Look, we agree to that. I think on a monthly basis, we're spending on the Promoter. And I think it was only last month that we just had our recent conversion, which we actually sold. So we know it works.
Awesome. Yeah, beautiful. We need a reference from you to say that it works. And I think that it's social proof and it's cost effective. You know, I think that's what we're all learning now, that, you know, particularly from a real estate point of view, you know, people are still putting flyers into letterboxes and it's very expensive. There's no accountability because you don't know if anyone looks at it. If they do look at it, you don't know who they are. But when you do it digitally, you can actually track it. You know, when someone clicks on an ad, you can tag them, you can remarket to them. As I said, it's more cost effective. You can have that. If you put a flyer in a letterbox, the opportunity for that to work is literally a split second when the person comes home and opens their letterbox, their mailbox, and they either put it in the bin or they look at it and then put it in the bin. So that flyer works for about 1 second. Digitally, it can be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the difference. It has an infinite greater exposure, and you know, from an advertising point of view, as opposed to the physical asset.
Absolutely agree.
Absolutely.
But as I say, marketing works in combination, not in isolation. That's the famous Tom Panos line. So as many platforms that you can be out in that are endorsing the same message and getting your faces out there is definitely going to work in the end. So, you know, we're obviously across the sales and mortgages as well, just to benefit the business here as well.
Awesome.
There you go. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. Any final words before we finish off?
No, look, from our point of view, we've got a great team that are building great products. We love talking to people like yourselves because, you know, you give us feedback that we're on the right track. So we've got a big team here in Melbourne. There's 60 or 70 of us that are you know, we're very proud of Rate My Agent for mortgage brokers, but there's still a fair way to go. So stay tuned. There's a lot more coming.
That's it. And we're one of the early adopters, so we're with you from day one.
Exactly. We love early adopters.
Thank you for your time, and we'll see you guys next time.